Hello again, everybody. So this is a video from my John Jay College of Criminal Justice Intro to Guitar class. And this is our class video for Wednesday, April 22nd. So I hope everybody is hanging in there and still healthy and doing okay out there. So a couple important announcements before we start the playing. To rehash our attendance policy with this transition to online distance learning. Can make sure that you send in the email with your attendance for the day. So after you watch both videos, you are going to email me. So most of you have been doing that, but there has been some of you have not been emailing me with your attendance. So in order to be marked present and in attendance, you need to send me that email after you watch both class videos for that given class day. So you just need to email me with a couple sentences saying the date and one thing that I mentioned in each of the videos. And most of you have been doing that, and that's how you get marked present. But some of you did, submit a midterm. I know you're out there, but you have not been emailing me with any regularity for these videos. So that, remember, is how you were marked for your attendance. So be sure to be doing that for every class day. Remember, the attendance is 15% of your grade, and certainly it would be impossible to keep up and be able to play what we need to play on the quizzes and final going forward without coming to class, which is what you're doing here. So I also enjoy receiving those, so I know you're out there, I know you're getting the videos, and know you're safe out there. So be sure to be keeping up with the attendance for every Monday and Wednesday class day. Same Monday and Wednesday schedule that we have been doing throughout the semester. Each video is an hour and 15 minutes, so you need to watch both part 1 and part 2. And we can still cover a lot, and you can still get a lot out of the course by watching each one of these classes in full and playing along with your book and your guitar at home. All right, so our quiz number 3 is going to be on Monday. So that is going to be the next thing that's coming up very soon. So that's going to be on Monday, this coming Monday, April 27th. And that's going to be the same exact format that you did on the midterm. So that means you're going to take a video of yourself, usually with a cell phone camera, and then upload it, all right, to Blackboard. So this format, I think, worked very well. I was very pleased on the midterm. Gives you a chance to not be nervous about playing in front of me in person, and which is usually the case. People get nervous playing in front of other people. This way you can take your time and get as good a version of the exercises and songs as you possibly can. So you can do a number of tries until you feel that you've got a good take, a good version, and it should be one video straight through of all the components, right? And then you're going to upload that to Blackboard. So you're going to log on to Blackboard and then go to discussion board, and you will see a new thread for quiz number 3. Exactly like you did, same place you did for the midterm, except it'll be a different post that will say quiz number 3. And then you'll click on that. Click on quiz number 3 under the discussion board in Blackboard for the class, and then create thread is what you'll click on, exactly like you did. And then attach is where you'll attach, and then browse your computer or your phone to attach the video file, and then click submit. All right, so those are the steps exactly like for the midterm. Log on to Blackboard for this course, Music 140. Go to the discussion board menu icon on the left, open up discussion board, then look down for quiz number 3, click on that, and then attach thread, and then click on that, and then give it a little title, and then scroll down to attach your video, and you'll see. Very straightforward. If you have any problems with that, with the posting, email me. That's how you're going to attach your video. And for Monday's quiz, it's going to be exercise 14 from the notebook, Fandango from the notebook, and Wish You Were Here with the chords and strumming pattern that we've done. So just those 3 things. So it should be a pretty short video. Exercise 14 is quite short. And Wish You Were Here, just take 1 repeat. So maybe play through the whole song form twice. You don't need to play a 3-minute version of the entire song with all the verses. Just play through the chords once. Take the repeat. So you've done it 2 times through. All right, and then as I've covered, don't overlook the rhythm on the chords on Wish You Were Here. Make sure you're doing the accurate strum rhythm that we've been learning in class. Just as important as the chords themselves individually is your rhythm. So make sure you're doing that. And so those are the 3 things for quiz number 3 on Monday. All right? So that you're just going to post anytime on Monday is fine, as long as it's posted that day, uploaded on there. So there won't be a class video on Monday. That'll be, considered the quiz day, that you're posting your videos and taking your videos and uploading them. And then another reminder about the tuning. So make sure that you are in tune before you upload this video. Some of you I've talked to specifically about the fact that if you were way out of tune on the midterm video, you're going to lose in the range of 10 points probably on your grade for the performance if you're totally out of tune. So that is part of the course, is learning how to tune the guitar, which we've covered in quite a great amount of detail. You can review again the video at the top of the course materials in Blackboard, where there's a YouTube video of somebody walking you through this 5-0, 5-0, 5-0, 4-0, 5-0 system for matching the pitches by ear. In addition to that, I've urged you to get a tuner app on your, which many of you have on your smartphone if you can. You get a free tuner app. And then as you're using that, make sure it's reading the correct letter names. E, A, D, G, B, E. There's no sharp sign or flat sign that's lighting up when you play a string. If so, you are not in tune. E, A, D, G, B, E. So any problems with the tuning, email me, but it will be expected that you'll be in tune. All right, and then I've mentioned to a few of you specifically about the midterm, if you were way out of tune, or if you'd like to improve the grade of your midterm playing. Usually that was because of the tuning issue. I'm going to allow you to repost another midterm video under these highly unusual circumstances this semester. I'm allowing that. If you'd like to take another try at the midterm and think you could, if you were way out of tune, and I've talked to you about that, you can do a new version of the video, making sure that you're in tune. All right, and then I've also been emailing with many of you about when you checked in about the attendance, with specific things that I noticed about your playing in the midterm. Not all of you. If I felt like you were solid, I may not have emailed you specifically about something to work on, but for many of you, I mentioned a couple things that I noticed on the midterm in addition to the tuning. That was the biggest one, is if you were way out of tune. But if I noticed something about your right hand technique, that's a big one that we all need to continue to work on with this fingerstyle classical guitar technique. the rest strokes as opposed to the free strokes. If I mention that to you, take that to heart, right? So I'm going to be looking for that on this quiz 3 video, that you've took my comments to heart, you've addressed whatever it was that I mentioned, if you were playing one of the chords wrong, etc., whatever it was, or planting the fingers on the guitar. That's something people still, struggle with if you've got into a bad habit with that. So no planting of the fingers on the guitar, only fingers on the strings, and not using rest strokes. We're not using rest strokes at all in this class. Our standard stroke is free stroke. So if I mentioned that. All right, so anything I've specifically mentioned to you about your midterm video performance, take those comments to heart, right? The idea here is that we're all improving our guitar playing in this class. So anything I mentioned to you about your technique, that should be taken to heart and work on improving, right? That's the goal here with this class, is learning to play guitar and improving on the guitar. All right, so that's our quiz for Monday. So any questions, email me, but it should be straightforward. We've been working on these songs this will be the second week that we've covered them. So improving the technique and the fluency today. All right, and then another reminder about the concert paper assignment, which is now due May 4th. Concert paper, and those options, as I mentioned on Monday, are now up on Blackboard. So you'll find them right there under course materials. Option number 1, the great Jeff Beck, an amazing concert video of him playing with a trio, with a phenomenal drummer and a very young bass player, that I think you'll really enjoy that one. And then option 2, the great Paco de la Cia, flamenco guitarist, phenomenal, one of the great guitarists of all time. And then number 3, concert video option was Joe Pass, one of the great jazz guitar players, playing some solo guitar, and then he's joined by the legendary Ella Fitzgerald, one of the great vocalists of all time. So I think you'd really enjoy that video as well. And then number 4, the legendary Stevie Ray Vaughan, one of the great blues guitar players. So that's the 4th option. I definitely urge you all to watch some or all of all 4 of them. You really enjoy and learn a lot from watching all 4 of those masters in action. But then you're just going to pick one of those 4 if it's a style that you're most interested or want to really delve into. For the paper, you pick one of the videos and then you're going to write your concert paper. All right, but those options are up as of Friday last week, so get a jump on that. You can rewatch, rewind, really get a lot of detail. That should be a lot to write about. So I think you'll really enjoy those concert videos, and that'll be due on May 4th. All right, so let's get into the playing today. We'll tune up again, so make sure you're in tune. Use the tuner app, the 5.0 system, and then you can also tune along with me in each one of these videos. I'm giving you tuning notes. Make sure they match. All right, use your ears. We're all blessed with ears. Make sure your pitches are the same. If it does not sound like mine, you are not in tune. So pause, stop, and adjust. Make sure you're in tune. So here's our open E first string. And second string B. And third string G. Fourth string D. And the fifth string A. Sixth string E. Once you're in tune, if you're not still not in tune, pause, sort that out. Go back and listen to those. Make sure you're in tune every day when you sit down. First thing we do when we sit down to play guitar is tune up. Just because you tuned 3 or 4 days ago does not mean that you are, or a week ago does not mean that you're in tune. Get in the habit of tuning every day. Sit down and go through the steps. Sit down with a tuner app every time you sit down to play. All right, that's essential. The strings will just naturally, due to temperature changes, humidity changes, and just the tension over the course of a few days, will drift out of tune. So every day when we sit down to practice, tune up. All right, don't just get in the habit of playing on an out-of-tune guitar. It's not going to sound good. It's going to actually sound quite painful to anybody listening if you're way out of tune, no matter how well you play. Okay, so let's go to our exercise 14, and we're going to get this one up to tempo that we should ideally be at for Monday's quiz. So we'll do it one time as a warm-up back at our slow 30 beats per minute here, and then we'll speed it up. So 14, this should start to be getting quite solid at this point after a couple weeks of working on it. So let's warm it up once at the slow 30 beats per minute tempo. And then today we'll try to get it all the way up to the desired tempo for Monday. All right, so I'll play a part with you at the slow tempo. Here we go, exercise 14. 2, 3, 4. Really slow, 2, and then B. Last line. Here's our G. 2, 2. Alright, so all thumb on this one is fine. This is really an exercise to really ingrain these low bass notes on the guitar. So we've gotten down to all 6 strings now. So you've learned all 6 strings at this point in the course, down here in first position, which is what we call the first 4 frets on the guitar. So we covered all 6 strings, but this exercise is really on these low bass notes on the 6th string and the 5th string. So a lot of ledger lines on these notes, so make sure you're clear on the differences between E, F, and G with those ledger lines. E being on the space below that 3rd ledger line. 1, 2, 3 ledger lines, and then the space below, that's our E. 1, 2, 3 ledger lines below the staff. On the line is our F. Not the same, right? On the line. And then the G, not to be confused with the E, 1, 2 ledger lines, and then the space below. That's the G. So So those should be familiar by now, as well as the 5th string A. We've done these for a while now. A on the 5th string, 1, 2 ledger lines below the staff on the line. So make sure it's right on the line. And then B on the space below the 1st ledger line. And then C right on the 1st ledger line. Also known as middle C, because it's right smack in between the treble and the bass clef. Although guitar is actually sounds an octave lower than it's written, which is a confusing concept at first for people, but guitar is written in the treble clef an octave higher than it actually sounds. They just decided to condense guitar music in that treble clef hundreds of years ago rather than to use treble and bass clef. If some of you have played or are familiar with piano at all, it's in treble and bass clef, so these low notes would certainly be way down in the bass clef, but all guitar music is written an octave higher than it actually sounds to make it in the treble clef. Okay, so let's try it now a bit faster. So we're going to bump it up 3 different tempos until we get to where we want to get it today for the midterm. So let's go up to 45 again, and I'll play your part with you again on the exercise 14. Here we go. 2, 3, 4. Sounds like a tune now. Recognize how it's supposed to sound. 4. So as you're playing along with these class videos, another reminder, make sure use headphones, use earbuds, right? It will definitely sound much, much better. Take a second, pause it, get out the headphones and earbuds while you're watching. Make sure you got your book up on a chair. If you don't have a music stand, put the book up on a chair, something, or even some books on top of a chair to elevate that book into position like it was in our class. Right about here. I got a low stand so you can see my hands clearly, but make sure your stand is about here so that you can see it clearly. The idea is without having to strain your neck, or don't put your book on the floor while you're trying to play along. Put it on a chair, take a minute. Got to be disciplined about getting yourself into a good seated position to read music and play this music effectively. So put it up on a chair. If you don't have a music stand, somewhere or a table in front of you in such a way that you can see it. It's elevated clearly while you are listening and playing along with me. All right, and then also get yourself in a good seated position, right? Maybe find a chair where you're not going to be kind of slouching and lazy about it. Sit up straight when we play. The guitar's straight up and down, so you're in a good seated position every time you practice and play along with these videos. All right, make sure the guitar stays straight up and down. You're not tilting it. You're not kind of slouching, resting your arm and your leg. Use that discipline to play in the good seated position. Definitely going to help you play better in the long run. All right, so get all that set as you play along with these videos at home. And then same tempo 45. This is still a bit slow, so we haven't gotten up to our ideal speed for this piece yet at 45 today. We're going to bump it up again, but we'll do 45 again, and I'm going to play the chords along with it. So one more time as practice at this 45, kind of medium, slow tempo. So here's exercise 14 again with the chords accompaniment. So I mentioned on Monday that for this, if you look at the second part, the accompaniment when I'm playing is all just strummed chords on the downbeat, whole notes of chords, or in a couple of spots half notes of chords. So when you see notes stacked vertically like that on the staff, if you look at the second part, that is how a chord is written in standard notation. So we've learned primarily the system of reading chords through their letter symbols, like we've done in Wish You Were Here. Another way to write chords that we see is just the letter symbols, C being the abbreviation for C major. But a more specific way to actually write out the chords in standard notation is to have them stacked like this, which you'll see on my part on this exercise 14, which we're not getting into as far as you're playing very much in this intro to guitar class. But take a look down there at the second part and you'll see how chords look when they're, this is the common A minor chord, actually the same exact chord that you know how to play already, A minor. That's how it's written in this first measure. You see you got an A on the 5th string. You're looking at, I'm talking about the accompaniment part, the second line in exercise 14. Look at the first measure. That's the A minor chord that you already know how to play by name. That's what it looks like when it's all written out in standard notation. You got an A on the 5th string open. You got an E on the 4th string 2nd fret. See that on the bottom line? You got an A on the 2nd space. That's his 3rd string A. And then you got the C in there on the 2nd string 1st fret. And then the E with the 1st string open. So you put all those 5 notes together, and you got the A minor that you already know. And as we talked about last time, and as we've learned about in our chord discussions, that there's only 3 different notes in there. And they are, what's the formula? Root, 3rd, and 5th for any major or minor chords. On this A minor chord, play it for a second here and take a look at the hands here. We've got a root on the 5th string open. That's the A, so whatever the chord name is, that's the root. So A minor, the root is A. We've also got this A here on the 3rd string, 2nd fret. So that's another root. And then, so the root is doubled on this particular chord voicing. And then we got this E on the 4th string, 2nd fret, and we've also got an E on the 1st string. So the 5th of the chord is doubled. E is the 5th of A, B, C, D, E. Right, that's how we can get those numbers. So A is the root. Then just count to get the 3rd, A, B, C. That's the 3rd of the chord. 3 notes away. Counting the root as 1. 1, 2, 3, you get A, B, C. C is the 3rd of the chord, and then A, B, C, D, E is the 5th. So root, 3rd, 5th, and then they're just stacked in different ways to create these chord voicings. So there we have the standard A minor chord that you know how to play, how it looks on the standard notation there. And then if you look at measure 3, that's the E major chord that we're going to learn next week in a different song. That's what that looks like. Talked about that one on Monday, but you got 6 notes in that chord, but still only root, 3rd, 5th, 3 different ones. Alright, and then look on the 5th measure of notes or exercise 14. Look at the 5th measure, and you'll see the C chord that you know how to play right here. 5th measure, exercise 14. Looking at the accompaniment part, and that is how C major, which we've been playing in Wish You Were Here, looks like when it's written out in the standard notation. So we've got a C on the 5th string, see that on the 1st ledger line, on the line. We've got an E, 2 of these notes are the same as the A minor chord. And then a G on the 3rd string open, C on the 2nd string 1st fret. and then the E on the first string. So when you put all those together and they're stacked vertically, that's C major chord. So when they're stacked vertically right on top of each other, that means they sound simultaneously. You play them on the same beat. If we're playing with our fingers, I can strum that with the back of my nail, like so, so that they create one sound. Alright, so let's try it again here at 45 beats per minute now, after that little discussion of chord theory. But that's really important stuff. As guitarists, chords are one of the most important things that we do on the guitar. So having an understanding about chords and how they're constructed, I think is very important. It's such a big part of what we do. So here we go. Now 14, I'm going to play that chordal accompaniment. You're going to play the melody part at this medium tempo. 2, 3, 4. The B, G, C, 2, Alright, so you can rewind that and play along, practice at that tempo a few times till that feels nice and comfortable. And then we're going to bump it up now to 60. Let's try 70 today. So this would be about where I'd like it to be for Monday. 75, if possible, would be ideal. So let's try that 75. So this is a big jump, but we've done this one a bunch. So I think by this week, definitely doable. And for Monday, this is the goal tempo. So here we go. This is 75 beats per minute. Exercise 14 again. 2, 3, 4. is the third line, this part. So let's just do the third line, just the third line. 3, 4. To that tempo yet, you know what to do. Go back to those slower tempos. You can go back in the video, rewind it, back all the way down to 30 beats per minute until you can do that comfortably, and then a little faster each day. This is the goal tempo for Monday. One more time with the accompaniment now. Exercise 14. I'm going to play the chords underneath you. 2, 3, 4. So that's our goal for Monday on that one, getting it up to that tempo. But as always, I'd much rather hear it at a slower tempo in correct rhythm and steady than up to that speed and sloppy and stopping and starting. So rhythm, 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 keeping a steady beat. All right, as we know by now, that's just as important, at least as important as the notes in the music that we play. All right, on to the fandango now. So we're really putting a lot of focus on just these two pieces this time as the songs get harder. And then those are going to be the two for the midterm in the book, and we're also going to get to exercise 15 and possibly 16 today if there's time, but these are going to be the two, for the quiz on Monday. 14 in fandango. And then we're going to move on from there. But let's go fandango now. This is one time slowly all the way back down to 30. So let's look at this one. Fandango, 30 beats per minute, really slow. Hopefully you've been practicing this third line and getting these scales with your fingers alternating, index, middle. So hopefully that's sounding better. Let's try it from the top though. 1, 2, 3. So thumb on this part. Strokes on the thumb now, no rest strokes. Here's the fingers. Same thing again. Index, middle. Back to thumb. And here's a G. Make sure you got G there, not E. really slow, and hopefully you've got that third line straightened out that we've covered. And we're going to get this one up to speed today as well, but we're going to do 3 different tempos before we get it up to the desired speed for Monday's quiz. So here's 45, the Fandango, and then we'll work that third line a little bit at the slower tempo. But this is 45, Fandango, 2, 3. To just that third line again. More practice on the third line, which is definitely the hardest part, as we talked about in this song. So you're going to have to just isolate that third line, and particularly the last 2 measures of the third line, circle it and just play it over and over. It doesn't take very long to repeat it. Even just 5 minutes of repeating those 2 measures will pay off a tremendous amount in terms of being able to play the whole song well. So here we go, third line now. Remember, this is just an A natural minor scale, which we know and love already. So those 6 notes, not the whole A natural minor scale, but the first 6 notes of A natural minor that you've already know how to play. That's all that is in the first and third measures. Here we go, third line, just the third line. 2, 3. Exactly. And here's the harder part. Same pattern here. So let's just do the last 2 measures again of that third line. Get some more practice on those. But isolate this spot. Do it as much as you need to at a slow tempo until you can do this smoothly. Just the last 2 measures of the third line, which starts on this D. 2, 3. And make sure for the quiz that you're doing this whole third line with fingers, index, middle. So don't just do the whole Fandango with all thumb. This one, that's part of the important part of this song, switching to fingers on the third line for these scale passages. Index, middle, and all that. Alright, so same thing, last 2 measures of the third line. 2, 3. And the whole third line. 3, 4. Same thing, one last time at that tempo, third line, 2, 3. Index, middle. now to 60, which is still not quite up to speed, and then we're going to bump it up one more time after this. But let's do 60. We're going to gradually get up there. 1, 2, fandango. 2, 3. With thumb. Don't plant the fingers though. And don't do rest strokes. 3 strokes. And then here comes fingers. Fingers. Miss a note, stay with us, keep your place. 4th line. Which you can go back to thumb on. And now with the accompaniment, same tempo, so I'm going to play the chords, which only come in on the 3rd beat of each measure. So you really got to be solid on your part. Here we go with the accompaniment now. 1, 2, 3. Boom, 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 So if you were not able to keep your part steady there while I added the accompaniment, rewind that and do that again at that tempo, because that's really important, and that's how we actually, of course, play with other musicians. You got to be super solid and independent on your part when it's put together with the rest of the band or ensemble. You can lay down your part steadily without getting off. So you got to count and be steady. So one more time at that tempo, fandango, before we speed it up. With the accompaniment. 2, 3, boom, 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 2 and 3, boom, 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 So you're really playing a bass line. Here we go. Do, 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 do. Last line. Alright, and then our ideal tempo for this one for Monday. In that same neighborhood of 75 for both of these. Really 80, let's try. If we can pull off 80, that would be awesome. And then that's, of course, where it sounds more interesting, more fun to play if you can get it up there. So let's try 80 beats per minute, the fandango. I'll do your part with you. So keep your place if you're not quite there, and fill in the notes you can, and then you know what to do. Gradually speed it up throughout the week. Go back to those slow tempos in the video. But here's our desired goal tempo for Monday on the fandango. 1, 2, 3. get the tempo up there. But if you can't play it that fast and steadily, I'd rather hear it a little slowly but in good rhythm, right? So whatever tempo you can do it steadily in a good rhythm is where you should record it. But the goal is to gradually speed it up over the course of playing it for 2 weeks. That's where you would ideally be for Monday. So with the accompaniment at that tempo, 80 beats per minute. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Bum, 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 do, 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 So that is the goal for Monday. So those two on that quiz, in addition to Wish You Were Here. But we're going to do exercise 15 today. We're going to move on, even though this one is not going to be on the quiz for this Monday. We're going to start to work on 15 now, before we get to Wish You Were Here. So let's take a look at that now. So this video, part 1, is nearing the end of it. But then, of course, you're going to stay tuned and click on part 2, which is going to come up, and that's where we're going to really get some more practice on Wish You Were Here chord strum. That is part of the quiz, so make sure, don't just think, oh, I know those chords, I'm good. No, you need to practice your rhythm on the chord strum, believe me. So stay tuned for part 2 as soon as this part 1 winds down. But let's look at exercise 15 now. So this will be good sight reading today. We're just going to sight read it at a slow tempo. This one will be new this week. So let's go down to all the way to 30 to start with and just try to read it straight through in rhythm, which is what we want to be able to do at this point if you know these notes well. So the same notes, we got the low E's on the 6th string. Let's see, just looking it over real quick, we got some G's on the bottom line, as well as our notes, our friends on the 5th string, A, B, and C. And we got a couple 8th notes, but really no harder on this one. So let's try to read it through slowly, exercise 15. See if you can sight read this one with us. And we're going to start to work on this going forward. So exercise 15, this one's also in 3/4. So this is our quarter note, real slow. We'll come in on beat 3, so I'll give you 2 beats and then we'll start on the low E. Exercise 15. 1, 2. 2. So we'll pause there. That's just to get some sight reading at this very slow tempo on this new one, exercise 15. And then let's jump over to exercise 16. We introduce what's called the tie, which is this curved line above the note that you're playing, and that just means hold that, continue to hold that note over the bar line. So you're not going to pick it again. It's a way to extend a note over across the bar line so it's still ringing. So I want to make sure to get through this one today as well, because we've been neglecting these higher notes on the guitar. We've been doing so many low notes. So I want to make sure we read through this one. It should be quite easy except for the ties and the rhythms note-wise on these first and second strings on this one. But I want to practice reading through this one very slowly. Let's do 35 on this one. And get the feel for the tie. Get used to looking at that. It just means I'm going to hold that G across the bar line for that quarter note in the second measure. Don't pick it again. It's still ringing. So here's exercise 16. Let's play it together. 3, 4, rest. Tied 1, 2, and 2, 3. And this one's tied again. 1, don't pick it again, and then 3. And second line. 2, 3, tied. 1, don't pick it again. 2, 3, 4. This is tied to a whole note. 2, still ringing. 3, 4. Third line. Rest. 1. 2, 3, still ringing. 1. 2, 3, tied. 1.